Wait a minute, hold on. How will you
That is very empowering.
be stronger next of the pandemic? Okay. Women.
All right, it's 8:25.
All right. How come it's not letting me? Entrepreneurs, no. Okay, it's not letting me put any tags. That's really weird. Okay, going live. Okay, now we hop back to here and we're gonna record and we are gonna broadcast. So everybody can come in. Okay, 8:25, yay, doors are open. Come on in, everybody. So the same thing everybody's talking about is the freaking earthquake. Like, I'm sorry, now I'm just going to tell everybody, now is the appropriate time to start using 2020 as a curse word.
Yeah.
Like, what the 2020? Like, really, that had to be the most insane thing. Like,
yeah, I didn't know New Jersey got earthquakes. I got to be honest.
Yeah, really. And you're thinking like, oh my God, I didn't move to California because of earthquakes, and I moved to New Jersey.
And 3.1 is significant. That's not just a little blip, right? That's halfway up.
That was so crazy. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was awake already because I had heard something before and I woke up and I don't know if there was something ahead of it, but it was so funny because I grabbed my husband's hand. I'm like, oh my God, I think that was an earthquake. He goes, yeah, probably. And then rolls over and goes back to sleep.
I love that his response was not, what? No.
And I was like, yeah, probably. And then of course, I go to the ultimate source. I go to Facebook.
Yeah.
And everybody's posted, did you feel that? Did you feel that? Oh my God. And I'm posted, yeah, I felt that. What is everybody else doing up at 2 a.m.? Like, and my husband made a good point. He goes, it's all women.
Yeah.
Damn. I'm like, you're totally right. So us women, we never sleep.
We don't sleep, no.
Yeah. And you said you haven't slept in 7 years.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. So welcome, everyone. Amanda and Denise and Jason. Jason, you're here twice. I love it. And Lisa and Meg, I'm so glad that everyone is here because I think we're going to have a really interesting soul-bearing discussion today.
It's going to be a very, and I want to thank Amanda for sharing our webinar on her Facebook page. That was pretty awesome. So I think, we'll start with introductions. Ayesha Hamilton is the owner at Hamilton Law. She focuses her law on employment law and is a champion of employees. I'm the owner at First Steps Financial, and we take care of small businesses, keeping them financially organized, helping them gain insight into their financials, and we use technology and unique strategies to achieve success. All information and content on this webinar is for general purposes only. You can't take it to the bank. If you want to talk to us personally. All right, so what's new with you besides the earthquake?
I need to give you, and so I feel like I start every week with a shout out to Alisa.
Oh my God. You know what? I'll take them. I'll take them. Because,
So I was saying to Alisa last week, oh my goodness, I can't have my husband cut my hair one more time. Like, I
can't even believe you had your husband cut your hair in the first place. Oh my God. God bless you. Oh.
Yeah, and I said, listen, I don't feel comfortable going to a salon yet. I'm just, I'm not there. And Alisa goes, oh my God, like, I'm going to give you the name of a hairdresser who will come to your house and cut your hair there. She's coming on Sunday. I'm so excited. So thank you, Alisa. Oh,
you're welcome.
You got to ask your friends, ask your network. Wait,
Isn't there a saying?
Complaining, but it's asking,
It is.
What do I do with this?
Yes. And I have to tell you, that has been a huge thing, especially during this time where we're not out as much and seeing people, and I really think it makes a big difference to those people that you do talk to, that you do see, to ask them questions.
Yeah.
Because we're so limited in who we get to see, which kind of leads us into our question for today. And the thing that we're going to talk about is, this pandemic isn't even close to being over, and we need to make sure that we're ready for the second wave. And, how are we going to make sure we're ready, that we're stronger, both physically and emotionally? And, how can we handle it? So
What are you
it was
doing
fun.
with your business? I mean, you've got a team.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're trying to make sure. So we're trying to handle the emotional side of our team and the emotional side of our clients too. And just, we're really doing a lot more communication. And it was funny though, when I read this question out loud, I don't know if I was talking to you about it ahead of time. I have the peanut gallery here. I got all people home in my house, and someone goes, hoarding information and supplies. That's what we need for the second wave.
I love it.
That's a good thing though. All right. So we have to make sure we have lots of toilet paper on hand and sanitizer.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, someone posted in one of the groups that I'm in, if you want Lysol disinfectant wipes, you actually have to ask for them.
What?
They're not even putting them on the shelves because they know that people will buy like 10 at a time. Isn't that hilarious?
I didn't
I'm
know
like,
that.
it's actually kind of good. It's smart on the side of the store because people will wipe them out.
Right.
But
And
you have to ask.
if you can buy one per customer or two that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. So, okay, so we won't be hoarding.
So work-wise, what are the types of things you're doing to make sure your team is ready and prepared?
So we're trying to put things in place, knowing what we went through last time. We're trying to learn from it, and we are still having weekly check-ins with everybody. And when we do the weekly check-in, one of the questions we ask is, how's school going?
Right.
Because my team is all women, and in general, women have been bearing the burden of school and everything else. Our workload has increased dramatically. Even if you're working full time, you now have a family full time, which my kitchen will attest to. There's freaking dishes all day long, like stacked up. I'm thinking, where did all this come from? So we talk about that, and then we're also trying to develop communication, and we have been, this has been ongoing, but to continue this communication, that we have a consistent communication with our clients so that they know there's a good, back and forth, that they can talk to us anytime, ask us questions. There's so much uncertainty out there. And so we want them to know they can count on us. Like if things do close up again, if something happens, like they can reach out.
We're still there. But I got to tell you, for everybody watching, you need to look on Alisa's bookshelf in the back, and right in front of the book is the reason that she is such a good boss. And so I was just asked by a reporter, what is the best way for employers and employees to navigate that next step, right? This next wave. We're accepting that there is going to be a next wave of difficulty ahead of us. And that's exactly it. What you just said, Alisa, about making sure you're checking in with your employees on what their schedule is, right? So listen, are you homeschooling? Does that mean you're not available from 9 until 1? Okay, then I can make sure that the work assignments come in after that. Or I know in terms of expectations that, okay, we're going to not expect you to respond to emails during that time period. That doesn't mean you're working any less or fewer hours or any differently. It just means that we're accommodating some flexibility.
You actually had, because I asked you this, and you actually had a really nice way to ask people, what's your schedule? What is, because
I had that discussion with my paralegal. And this is where, again, Alisa, you saved the day by introducing me to Asana. But I said to my paralegal, listen, what are you going to be doing September onwards? And the only reason I'm asking, and you need to ask it nicely, right? You're not prying, you're not making judgments. I just said, listen, how much lead time do you need on assignments? Because I know you're going to be busy through the day with your younger kids being homeschooled, or remote learning.
Oh, yeah.
And so she was really, I think she felt comfortable to say to me, listen, they're going to be in school Tuesdays and Thursdays, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 1, I kind of need to help them. And I'm like, done, sold, no problem.
Yeah.
So I will try and be more organized. Me as the employer and the person assigning the work needs to be a little bit more organized on my end to not send her something that's due and returnable to me in 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's not realistic. And it may be a simple thing, but I need to then look at, okay, if it's something quick that needs to be done, I'm just going to take care of that task while I send her the stuff that's due next week that I know she can help me with.
So that's really nice, because you had a good balance where you didn't make her feel uncomfortable. Like she was like, oh my God, like I can't get this done. But you also didn't cross any lines,
Right. And honestly, we're all women. We're all in it. We are all at the age where we have some varying level of child in school or something that you need to be cognizant of. And even if you don't have children or don't have children in school, or your children are away at school, you still have to be cognizant of what the reality is of a work from home environment.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have it longer than we expected. Back in March, I thought this thing would last 2 weeks, right? So clearly, you should not follow my judgment.
Oh my God, me too, honey.
But it's, one of the things I've been doing is sort of saying to myself, okay, the way I prepare my business for the next wave is to make sure that people know how to find me. And when they need me, because there's a lot of people that are going to need an employment lawyer in the next wave and in the year after, right?
Okay.
Because I will tell you, I'm seeing a trend of companies making employment decisions that are not motivated by COVID, but saying they're motivated by COVID. So
Really?
the last month has been really, really busy for me, which I'm very grateful for. But I think you have to say, okay, so I know how to do the work. I know I do a good job. Most of my referrals come from other attorneys and past clients. So that says to me, okay, people are happy. Well, how's anyone going to find me? And Alisa, I know you've talked about now is not the time to stop marketing.
Yep.
So really, really focus on, where can I go with my marketing? What have I been doing? What can I do better? What can I do more of? And it does not involve spending more money. It just involves, that hour that you're not driving a kid to swimming. Figure out something else you could do with that.
And it's true. We were just talking about Jason Myers he's doing a lot of webinars, and he actually put something out that said, I will be speaking at these 15 different events. And I'm like, that's great. That's what we need to keep doing, is promoting. Actually, Meg, back to your planning, she was talking about proper planning and making sure everyone's needs are being met for the benefit of your client. And that's true, because if we can make sure that our team all their needs are being met, they're going to in turn do really good work for the client.
And I got to tell you, Jason, absolutely correct. He says, please don't assume that you don't need to engage men in the conversation about schedule.
Yes.
I absolutely agree.
Yep.
And I think it's a sense of how do you make sure your entire employee base is working collaboratively with you, right? It doesn't work for an employer to sit back and say, I don't care what your issues are. I'm paying you to do a job, get the job done. I have seen a lot of employers operating on that sort of, I will say it's an old school mentality. It doesn't work anymore. And the minute you realize how expensive turnover is and how important it is to maintain your team intact and in place, because that's what clients want. They want continuity. They don't want a different name on the email every time they get an email from your team.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And I think that's going to go the way of the dinosaur is, and if you don't evolve with what's happening, and I know for some people this is really hard because it changed so quickly. And I'm with you. I thought this was only going to last 2 weeks. And then someone said, this kid's going to be home through the end of the year. I'm like, no way. These kids are home for the end of the year. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then everybody got used to it.
Yeah.
And I think work from home is going to start to be more of the norm. And I know that things are changing quite a bit. I have a client in New York City, and he said New York City is a disaster at the moment. He said there's homeless everywhere because there's no pedestrian traffic walking on the street. So they are literally lying across the sidewalks and building tents and and he said, I don't know how business is going to function in this new environment. And I'm wondering what is that gonna be for, I think the bigger cities are gonna have trouble recovering from this. And I think we're lucky because we've always been in more of a suburban situation, but also remote. So I think that I'm also going to start focusing more on that remote aspect and really promoting that and letting people know that, what, COVID has never stopped us.
Yeah, I will tell you that pre March of 2020, if you told me you wanted a Zoom meeting with me, I would have told you to go to hell. There's no way. I did not love having to look at myself on a screen.
Oh,
Now it's all I do, probably, 6 times a day.
yeah.
So let's switch gears for a second, right? So
Okay.
let's talk a little bit about us personally. So what are you doing, or have you been doing and plan to continue to do sort of physically? What is your, how are you going to take care of yourself?
So the gyms are closed, so there's no going to the gym. So I have been I've been walking for the most part, like every day. And then I swam most of the summer, which my whole family's like, you went in the water? Because I've never been, like, don't get me wrong, when I was a kid, I loved, I grew up at the beach and I loved it and swam all the time. And this summer, when I was in Massachusetts for most of the summer with my mom and staying at her house, she lives at the beach and we swam almost every day.
So I got to tell you, one of the people who joined us today is Denise Dwyer, and she is literally the coolest person I know because she's a rower. And
Oh,
she'll go out. Now, I don't know if I told you about my last year. My son's a rower, and I was like, I'm going to take a learn to row class because, oh my God, I want to see what he's going through and what it feels like, and it looks so cool, and I love being on the water. No, there's just, I did one summer of it, and Denise will laugh, right? But I was like, you know what? I don't need to be out on the water in a razor thin boat where I could tip over at any moment if somebody breathes wrong. Yeah, but
love that. Oh, Denise, I think that's the coolest thing.
Isn't it the coolest thing?
I have always wanted to try it at least, but okay. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? Well, that goes back to okay, so, we're talking about how to be prepared physically. I think the physical and the mental part of it really connect because I did sailing this summer and I haven't sailed since I was a kid. And it was scary as could be. I forgot. Well, you know what? I was never scared as a kid. I was like, la, 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 just sailing away. And it was, I think another thing is to do things that are out of my comfort zone.
Right.
Because I feel like that engages me and keeps me moving. What are you doing? What have you been doing, or what are you going to do? Or
So you're gonna laugh, right?
Uh-oh.
For my daughter's birthday. Well, my daughter was, she's like, I really want a Peloton bike. And I'm like, listen, yeah, me too, all of us. I'm not gonna spend that kind of money right now. And besides, we're in the midst of a move. Like,
Oh my
you
God,
buy stuff,
yeah.
you move it, it always breaks. We're not gonna do it. So I found this thing that a friend of mine recommended. And it's a little setup that turns your outdoor bike into an indoor bike. And so I have that set up now in the house, and I do the Peloton app. And the app it's like $12 a month or something. It's really cheap. And this little device that converts your outdoor bike, it's like a trainer or something, I think it's called. It's $120, right? The
You have to
Peloton
tell
bike
me.
stuff is like 3,000.
You're going to have to tell me what the what that setup is.
Yeah, I know.
You're going to laugh because my son is an avid bike rider and he's thinking already. And Lisa Snyder said she's been walking every morning, but what about what happens when rain and
Right.
snow? Like, what are we going to do? And I think you have it. Is it a name or is it a?
Yeah, and I'm gonna look it up and I'll
Send it to me.
send it
Okay.
to you. But it's in fact, if you look at it, I think it's called an indoor bike trainer, an outdoor. You know, I just did a Google search for it and found this thing. You can buy them on Amazon. You can buy them at a bike store. I went to a bike store. And I just thought, you know what? The thing I love about this Peloton app, and I swear to God, I look forward to this all the time, right? So I'll schedule on my calendar that I'm going to work out at like 7 p.m., right? So it's last night. And then like at around 5 o'clock, as I'm starting to feel kind of tired in my day and I'm starting to think, well, I don't know if that workout's going to happen. I go into the Peloton app and I pick which program I'm going to do. And I pick by music. So they have ones that are like, you know, rock or pop or whatever, or pick me up. That's what I picked yesterday because I was like, I clearly need a pick me up. It's been a long day. It's Wednesday. It's a hump day. And I find that just helps me commit to doing it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Yeah, like I'm going to have fun with this. Like this is going to be great. And I tell you, I only do a half hour. I'm dripping at the end of that half hour. And I told you last time that I used to do these workouts in the morning and then I didn't have enough time to cool off and shower and not be sweating at my next meeting. So I moved my workouts to the evening. Right?
Yeah, it's so attractive to show up to your meeting all sweaty and
dripping, right? Yeah. And so I will tell you, I've always recognized the value of how exercise helps my stress level.
Yes.
And I've been really, really stressed this month. I know I'm looking ahead at the next few months going, I have so much work that I'm freaking out. Like every day I'm waking up in the morning tense if I don't work out. If I do work out, I'm actually sleeping better at night.
Yeah.
And then I'm sort of waking up a little bit more in control. And I'm hoping that that's the exercise.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. When I exercise, it does something. I think it makes us sleep deeper and maybe that clears our head out, or I have no idea. Denise was saying, sadly, since March, she's had to do her workouts on a rowing machine. So she doesn't have her own razor thin boat. But she's going to get back in the water next week. And Lisa said she needs to get some thermal winter gear because she knows it's critical for the start of her day to walk. You know, I think we're all in agreement that that's what we really need to incorporate in our days. And I have one of my kids I'm homeschooling, and I told her, like, we have to exercise every day. And so she has come up with, she wants to run. So what does that look like when it's raining out? What are we going to do? And so I think the bike might be with that Peloton app. That might be the solution. Like we can bike and run and do different things.
And it's a cheap hack, right? It's not investing in a large piece of equipment that now sits in your corner.
Oh my God.
I mean, we actually, you know, I'm the only one using it, but I don't care.
Yeah, no, I wonder. I mean, the Peloton, it's like $2,500, isn't it? Or like $3,000. It's like,
and there's like a waiting list. It's not like you can just order it and have it be at your house next week if you were inclined to spend the money. But I think this is a great, listen, it's an indoor option.
Yeah.
You know, the Peloton app itself also has other stuff that you can do. So they have weights and things like that. So not that this is a commercial for Peloton.
Yeah.
But I will tell you one of the things, and so self-awareness has never been a big thing for me. I'm going to tell you, last night was a moment of self-awareness for me. So about 5 p.m., I'm like starting to return calls because I've been in meetings all day. And I return a call to a potential client who is asking me just these asinine questions. Now, with anybody at any other time of the day, I'm very patient. I know that people need to be heard, and I'm willing to give them the 10 to 15 minutes to hear them out, to then say, this is why you don't have a claim, or this is why I'm not the right lawyer for you. This guy, it was like every last nerve was being triggered by this person. And I was so impatient. And so part of my self-awareness realization was that I need to recognize when is not the right time to be returning certain types of calls. And because it did not do any good for my public image. I mean, I didn't yell at him or anything, but I was cutting him off and saying, okay, let's cut to the chase. Did this happen? Did that happen? But he needed to tell me a story. And at another time of day, I would have allowed him to just tell me the story. But I was tired and exhausted and hungry, and all of that stuff culminating does not make for the right time to engage in that sort of conversation. So be self-aware too of where you are emotionally.
And I think
in your day.
That really is a good point too, because if the second wave happens, I think we're going to have to be more aware of that with ourselves and figure out, okay, stuff's hitting the fan and I really shouldn't talk to anybody. And maybe I will, talk to people at a different time.
Right.
And
even have your assistant reach out and say, listen, she's really busy. She's going to get back to you tomorrow morning at 8. I should have done that. Right. But I just was sort of blowing through, okay, got to get this task done, and I wasn't self-aware enough that I wasn't in the frame of mind to let somebody ramble. Right? So.
Yeah, no, and that's okay. That's it's, so one of the other things that I'm trying to do, and this, leads into emotionally and for my good mental health, is I'm trying to kick out any unhealthy talk in my head. Like, not putting myself down, not saying like, oh, you screwed that up. And, because, we do those like, 2:00 in the morning after the earthquake, we're awake and we start thinking, oh, you're a terrible person for doing this. Oh, business wise, you did this. And so I'm trying to really kick those thoughts out as soon as they happen, or examine them, give them a little bit of light and say like, what's really true here? Right. Am I just having a super fun time beating myself up? Or is there something I can learn to that? So we're trying to focus on, taking all the good things out of it and focusing on the positive.
Yeah. I will tell you and I hate to keep going back to this Peloton app. I'm not even getting money from them, but
damn it.
One of the things that the instructor said on this ride yesterday, right, was sort of like, leave all the bullshit on the ground and imagine yourself with every pedal stroke stomping on it, right? So whether you're running, whether you're just leaving it out, you don't need that kind of negativity in your life. Another one of the instructors says stuff like, straighten your crown, you got this, right? Sometimes I just need to hear that. Just emotionally, I need somebody else to be telling me, you've got this, you're okay. And that helps because all of us, I think especially as women, but maybe men too, sorry, Jason, we do have that imposter syndrome. We do it to ourselves every single time. And I'm not blaming anybody else for it other than the voice inside my head.
Yeah.
But you need to be cognizant of the voice inside your head and then stomp it.
Yeah, no, it's true. And this is where we can support each other, is really to get out there. And that's why I actually love these. I love us talking, because I always feel really good afterwards. And I feel like we're supporting each other. And I love that. Lisa has a funny comment. She says, how will we know if there's a second wave, another shelter in place? We haven't gotten out of the first one.
Oh, I think it's going to be ongoing, right? Yeah. I think, they opened gyms, I think, as of this Tuesday.
They did. Our gym reached out to us and said, like, you can make an appointment.
So it's limited, right? But schools going back, the numbers are going to rise again. So they're going to go back to I don't know if it's going to be so much as the shelter in place again, but I look at the second wave of, oh my gosh, there's no end in sight. I thought there was an end in sight in March. And then I thought there was an end in sight for August. And then I thought, oh, well, it'll be fine because schools are going back. Now I'm clearly in denial. There
Yeah.
is no end in sight. The end in sight looks like the next time they release a reliable vaccine.
Vaccine. Yeah, I do. I think it's
That's
going to be.
not near. That's not a month away. That's not 2 months away, regardless of what the media might say.
That's like a
It's
year or
it's
more.
a year away. So we have to accept that this is how we're going to be rolling, right?
Yeah. And
You
there's going to
can't
be
resist
shortages.
it, right?
And it's interesting. I keep thinking like, what if we had a real shortage? Like you really couldn't get things. I mean, right now they're low on pools and hot tubs and bikes and, I mean, we have toilet paper back. Thank God.
Exactly. Well, it's 8:55. So
So let me
thank
just
you.
tell you. So next time, we're talking about what are you doing to make sure you're staying in front and center with your clients. Touches, how often and how many, and is it different now during COVID? So thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Ayesha. It was wonderful seeing you as usual, and great talking with everybody. And we'll see you next Thursday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Take care.